Mic check, life check. With Hailey Jensen. Welcome back. This is Hailey Jensen with a mic check, life check. This is the first time I am trying to record video, so hopefully it turns out. I'm pretty excited about it. So this week has been very impactful, to say the least, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I start the episode off as normal, just because that's just kind of the vibe that I would like to go with. Let's get going. We're going to do a little bit of a recap week, because it's been a very busy week, as always. First NFL game. I am a Bengals fan. I was very nervous going into this week, because usually the first 3 weeks, the Bengals tend to lose. So as a Bengals fan, wasn't super optimistic for what was going to occur, and it still kind of delivered a little bit. Somehow we won, and I would say every Bengals fan kind of felt the same thing, as glad we won. It was very lucky and very circumstantial. If you didn't watch, totally fine. Joe Burrow himself got sacked like 3 times in a row at one point, and that was kind of depressing. I was hoping and praying that our injury-prone king would not get hurt when he was getting sacked over and over again. So thankfully nothing crazy bad happened. But yeah, at the end, it all really came down to the extra point that was missed by the other team. And that was, it was kind of a hard watch. But overall, our defense the past couple of years has been pretty bad. We have seen improvement in that department, so that is good. I'm excited to watch on Sunday the next game. I believe it's against the Jaguars. And so yeah, we shall see. I'm hoping that, I don't know, I feel like every time they must have not the actual locker room talk that we see and is posted on their account, but like the behind the scenes locker talk / practices. They do a lot of adjusting, I would say. I've seen that with their track record, so I'm hoping that they're going to come out and be a different team on Sunday, but we'll report back on that one. As for watching all the other NFL games, it's been very entertaining, I'd say, for the most part. So, oh my gosh, the Bills, I literally forgot who they were playing. They're losing, and they turned it around. So it was funny because my husband and I were kind of sad watching the game because we were rooting for the Bills, and it was past our bedtime, so we went to bed, and then we woke up and saw the highlights and how within the last 5 minutes the Bills turned it around, which was incredible. So 10 out of 10, go Bills. So yeah, football has been great, I'd say, for the most part. On the opposite note of things, I just am reading all my notes of this week that I either found to be funny or interesting, but Rhode Beauty by Hailey Bieber, my namesake, Hailey, is now in Sephora, but that's not the funny thing. So I have never actually tried a Hailey Bieber Rhode product. I have watched all of the lip balms, glosses, circulate the last couple of years. I know a lot of people are very large fans, so I'm very excited and happy for all those people that now have easier access. I'm just guessing / spitballing. I would imagine it's hard to access these products without having to pay an exorbitant amount of money in shipping, unless they've always had free shipping. Rhode skincare, whatever product brand. And so that's probably the concept that I'm going to as the cost-efficient gal for why a lot of people are excited. I don't know. Easier access, I would imagine, because if I recall, I think that all the products were always sold out or something on the website. So excited for everyone, which the opposite side of things I was very entertained by was the TikToks of all of the very sad rollouts of the Sephora stores across the country. Either there was places that did not have the signage and everything set up correctly. One, they didn't have it set up at all. Two, they had the signage, because I think that Hailey Bieber is probably laying down and it's a square. And so a lot of stores took their own, what they thought / liberties on hanging the sign. So there's stores like, you can search this on TikTok, the internet, I'm sure. And you can see that she's like upside down on one store. She's right side up. She's one sideways, the other sideways. I found it minorly entertaining. I've worked in retail, especially seeing that picture itself was funny because I could just see it getting messed up. So anyway, I'm very entertained by very small little things like that. And I honestly haven't ever, like I said, tried her products. The last time I went into Sephora was probably 6 to 8 months ago. I am clearly not a huge makeup girly. I've tried to dip my toes in recently, and I'm not a fan of makeup. The number one reason, actually, I don't like wearing makeup because I like to hug my husband without getting it on his shirt. And I'm sure there will be girls that come for me and be like, it's not that hard, or get a setting spray or whatever. Like, I just don't like have to worry about it. Like, I just like to, I don't know, I like to give him good hugs. So that's my number one thing too. I am a sleepy gal. So like, I like to like lay on pillows and stuff, even during the day. And I don't want to worry about that. I don't want it on my child if I'm kissing my child. Like, it's just very messy. But I think that stems from the parts of me that I feel like are OCD. So that's a big thing. I did dance groups and performing groups growing up that I would have to wear a lot of makeup for, and that's fine. Like, that's performance time. And like, after I'd go home and shower. Like, it wasn't a big deal. But like day to day, and even like in high school and like a little bit in junior high, I never wore foundation or anything. I'm lash clusters. We know from the last episode. Give it a listen. And I've loved them. I got them down this week again. Very excited about it. That's my very baseline for makeup, and like filling in my eyebrows a little bit. And that's about it. So as for Sephora, I will maybe visit down the line more for hair products, because when I was bleach blonde, like platinum, like Targaryen blonde, I used K18 or K18, what do you want to call it? Because that was pretty viral when I was blonde at the time. And it definitely does work. And my hair was super healthy as that platinum blonde. So 10 out of 10, K18, K18, would recommend. I used Olaplex, which once again, I actually still have and I'll still use every now and then. And which I got Olaplex from Ulta, I'm pretty sure, back then. So we love Ulta, we love Sephora, we love them all. But yeah, when I was blonde, I was using a lot more hair products than I am now. But funnily enough, I still have some of the Olaplex products, and so I still use them. Which, side note, I had been struggling using the Dyson Airwrap, and kind of along the same lines of last podcast episode, where I was saying I was relearning how to be a girl. I never really got to my point. ADHD, 10 out of 10. But my point being that I'm trying to like relearn all these little things that I had down so well before I got lax and comfortable in my marriage, of beauty standards, of trying super hard. Like, you try a lot harder when you're dating, of course. And I kind of forgot how to use the Dyson Airwrap. And so then I think a big part of it was that I was trying to put like mousse in my hair to help hold, because that's what some people were saying. But then I think it just came down to the fact that I was putting too much product, like not like physical, like, oh, a lot of mousse. No, I was like product layering, and it made it so my hair was just so gunked up where it didn't want to like hold curl as well. And I tested this theory, in fact, because I had nowhere to go last hair wash, but I ended up using the Dyson Airwrap to curl my hair. But this time I had done I'd used some of the Olaplex serum, which I believe is like, I think it's number 9. And then the remainder of the oil, and so I think it's like 5, 6, and 7, I think. But anyway, I'd only use like a little bit of those 3 things. And because there's heat protectant in there, as well as a little nourishment, I don't know. Anyway, I use those 3 sparingly, and I didn't use any mousse or hairspray, and my curls turned out pretty dang good and held pretty well. So that's a life lesson that it's not always the hairspray and the mousse. It's just be wary of product use. And this time as well, I focused on drying my hair a lot more too. I got that as a comment on TikTok. And I remember being like, well, the time I did that before, it didn't work. But it was probably because I had too much product in my hair. So happy to figure these out and relearn how to be a girl once again. So that's been fun. Back to my point, because we went very off on a crazy tangent here. Sephora, hair products. I will continue to love quality hair products because I'm trying to think of my other favorite ones. So Day from the pink bottle gel. I do enjoy their, it's not a gel, it's a styling cream. Duh, I was like thinking what it was called. Anyway, it smells so good. I use it on my toddler. I use it on myself. I love the smell. They came out with a new one, which I have not smelled yet or tried. So I don't know if it's fantastic or better. Day, send me something, please, so I can smell it, please. No, the reality is that I probably won't go to Sephora, and that's going to be the next opportunity for me to smell it, to sample it. But if I do, I'll probably check out the Hailey Bieber stuff if they have it back in stock, because they apparently have been cleared out for some time since the day one of launch. So chances are I will not be seeing any of those Rhode products either for a while. So maybe one day, we'll see. And honestly, the only times that I go to Sephora usually are, I mean, back when I was blonde, but for the little birthday gift. They have some really good little birthday gifts. And Ulta has them too, but Sephora's are like a tiny step better. And I remember one of the first years that I had gotten, I think it was the Laneige triple set. That was so iconic. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much product and it's for free. It's for little old me for my birthday. 10 out of 10. Love you, Sephora. Never change the birthday gifts. As for birthday gifts in general, because today actually we went shopping for a friend's daughter's birthday, which was actually really fun because we found something really good. And I think she's going to love it. But birthdays are funny to me because obviously this is a friend, like a human adult friend's kid, right? And obviously you love them because you love your friends, right? But then when it comes to the birthday territory of your friends' kids, I feel like that's when it gets a little interesting for a lot of people, because naturally you want to invite your friends to create a big party environment, right? For your kid. You want to have a good time. You're throwing the party. Great. So of course then becomes the caveat of, do I bring a gift? Do I not bring a gift? Is it on the invitation to not bring a gift? Or if it doesn't say specifically don't bring a gift, then it's like, okay, well, I naturally should be bringing a gift. But depending on the tier of how close you are to the parents, that's where it complicates it. Take the example of what I just said. Love them to death. Love the kids to death. They are not part of this. But other experiences of mine in the past, it's tricky. So the thing for me is that when you get this invitation and it doesn't say don't bring a gift, because some people say that just to be like, hey, don't worry about that. That's not what this is about. However, assuming that it doesn't say that, then of course, then you have to figure that out and make that decision for yourself. One, don't bring something and assume that you will be judged harshly when the parents or the friends see that you didn't bring something, especially if they do a open present time and you're just like, I showed up to eat cake. And like the harder tier of it is if you have a kid yourself or not, because I remember we've had friends in the past that have said, oh, like you didn't have a kid, so we thought it would be weird to invite you. I guess it depends on the person, because I would love to still go. Like, if I'm friends with you, I'm friends with you. I don't care. I'll bring my dog. No, I won't. But I guess that is specific to each person. But anyway, my bigger issue is, I would say, based on your relationship, let's say you're not like as close with the friends, and it was more of like oh, kind of interesting they invited me to this, like situation, but you feel like you got to bring a gift. Here's where I struggle. One, if you don't have a kid, it's just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just paying for your kid's birthday presents because it's like you're not that close with them. That's the weird situation for me. I feel like it should be mandated in that type of situation. And I feel like both parties should be very familiar with your relationship, that you shouldn't have to bring a present. Or in the part that should be mandated is the host inviting should say, hey, just bring yourself. Because it's like, one, you don't have a kid or something like that. Okay, fast forward. Let's say you do have a kid. Still, same thing. I feel like the host specifically, whether it says on the invitation or not, depending on the relationship, that should be cleared up. And I know I'm asking a lot here. I know I'm deep diving into crazy town because I know a lot of people don't stay up at night thinking about these sort of things. I don't. This is during the day mentality. But here's where it gets tricky for me, because you can buy this kid a present, and whether you're spending $5 on a crappy toy that you can feel bad about or be judged about later at the party, or a lot of money where you're like, oh my gosh, why am I spending all this money on a kid I barely know? And the worst part is, it's like, I know I'm going to catch some heat for this. I feel like there should be a little 50-50. Like, I rub your back, you rub mine, right? But you're not going to ever get that back rub because this kid is not going to be doing that. Like, you know? And unless the parent randomly shows up on your birthday with a present because you supported their kid in a time of need of their birthday, I don't see it happening. And so, like, that's so awkward, which is why I feel like it needs to be mandated when your relationship isn't that close. And you know the difference. Trust me. Everyone knows the difference of how close people's relationships usually are. There's a little chance of a gray area, but usually most people are on either side of it. Okay. This is where the different part of the conversation comes in. Adult birthdays. Here's the thing. I'll tell you a little story. Once upon a time, I had a friend that I was pretty dang good friends with. And it was their birthday. And I had known their birthday was coming up all year. I had it in my calendar. And I had put together a little gift arrangement, and I was planning on dropping it off to their house. But here comes the fun part. I was planning on doing that all on my own. However, and this is a friend. So their significant other decided to call me up and say, hey, we're going to do a surprise for this or a surprise party for this friend. And it wasn't even call me up. They texted me, and it was for that day. Like, this was the most last minute crap I've ever seen. I was just like, oh, well, it's a good thing that I happen to be free tonight, because you just told me about this for something that's happening in 3 hours. And yeah, so I hadn't dropped off the present yet because I was doing stuff that morning. And so I'm just like, okay, well, this works, because I had to go by anyway and drop this present off. Here's my problem. I am like, okay, cool. Yeah, like, I'll drop my present off and she'll see that. Sorry, it's a girl, obviously. She'll see that I dropped off this present, and hopefully that she likes it, you know? Okay, fast forward. I went to the party, and it's a surprise party. So then her husband was hiding the guests and whatever. So then she comes down, and everyone's like, surprise, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, she's surprised, right? And so she sees for all of her party guests that they had brought presents, right? To be expected, right? Okay. That's cool. Fast forward. Months later. My birthday comes and goes. Not a single thing from this friend. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to come off as, oh my god, my birthday is the most important thing in the world, because actually my personality is quite the opposite. especially now with a kid, I don't care. My husband always makes me a fantastic dinner, and we could do whatever activity I wanted to do. That's great. Like, I've never been oh my gosh, you need to throw me a party. However, that hurt in this circumstance because, I mean, it was, yeah. Anyway, it hurt because it's just like, all right. So now the crappy last minute husband that decided to throw this party hours in advance that I happen to be available to go to for his wife to make it look like, oh, he worked so hard, is now getting the credit because in her eyes, I would imagine, could be wrong, but in her eyes, she saw all these people that showed up and brought her a gift to this surprise party because they were invited to this surprise party, not people are going to give her a gift because it's her birthday. And that was coming from the separate people. So, of course, later when I got absolutely nothing, or even a care, or a considerate well wish, it hurt a little bit. And that's its own thing. But that's just an example of how I view birthdays. And yeah, so that's always been kind of hard navigating. And keep in mind, this is only, I would say, applies to the relationships that are significant in your life. And so that's why I have a thing with birthdays, because I'm just like, I don't know how to act and respond because everyone has different expectations for birthdays. And that's what makes birthdays kind of suck. I mean, it's the story that we've always heard of people that celebrate their birthday month or their birthday week or whatever, or people that don't want you to even mention their birthday, or people that cry on their birthdays every year, and that's their prerogative. But birthdays are so complicated for that reason. However, for me, I actually really enjoy celebrating my husband's birthday because he never got celebrated much growing up. Not like significantly over the top, like he is the most important person on that day. And so I've loved to do that for him. And it's kind of been almost like a brain teaser for me because every year I do something absolutely different. At least I think so. And so I actually kind of enjoy, obviously I love him to death. That's why I'm going to love planning his birthday. But it also makes it kind of a brain teaser for me to figure out what I will be doing for his birthday. So anyway, that was a long birthday tangent, all because it's been on my mind lately. And so besides that, I'm very excited for my friend's kid's birthday, believe it or not. But this is a friend that I actually truly value and love, and their kid. So moving on from birthdays, because I feel like I've been talking an hour about them. So moving on, the crazy baseball stealing story gal. So basically, there was this woman let me double check the game here. Gal stealer. Okay, woman goes viral for allegedly stealing home run ball from kid during baseball game. So it was, let's see, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins. So yeah, the ball lands in the stands near the woman's seat, and a man scoops up the ball and gives it to his kid. So, or yeah, potentially his son, and hands the kid the ball. The ball puts the ball in his glove, and the two hug. The woman quickly runs up to them, places her hand on the man's arm, and starts yelling at him. We don't know what she says. And he is just shocked. The guy's like, is this really happening right now? And after about 20 seconds of this, the man turns to the kid and retrieves the ball, takes the ball out of his mitt, and hands the ball to the woman, and then she walks away. Keep in mind, there's video footage, and it's all over the internet, and it is the ultimate Karen of the century. Like, you have got to be kidding. I don't care. Like, chances are that ball is not even worth that much money at all. It's not like it's signed or anything. Like, it's a generic ball. But for a kid, that's uberly magical in the moment. And so it's just like, you have to be kidding. Like, I don't care if it was slightly towards the woman's toe and the guy happened to grab it first. It's like, whoever gets to it, it's first, you know? However, the best part about it is that the reaction of the dad was just like, you have to be joking. And like, anyone can see that. And it was just so uncouth. But the best part is that after the game, the Phillies, let's see. So the Marlins stepped up with a gift package and the Phillies hooked him up with a signed bat because the entire world watched this go down. So I thought that was pretty remarkable. Don't be a Karen. And I hope she got fired from her job because that's just horrendous. Like, come on, go buy a pack of baseballs or whatever. Anyway, that's been... It just makes me laugh because I just keep seeing the clips circulate around the internet. But overall, she's going to be screwed wherever she goes in public, grocery store, because everyone's going to see her face in her face, or at the gym, whatever. But speaking of going to the gym, I have absolutely been grinding this week. I have been working my butt off in the terms of making sure I'm going every single day, because for me right now, I'm kind of struggling with weight loss a little bit. I'm like not overly like overweight, but I'm not where I want to be. And it's been really tricky because getting out of being pregnant, newborn phase, postpartum into breastfeeding, your body is always changing and it's always really rough. And there's no regularity and any sort of normalized feeling, even when you try to work out or even when weight is coming off, you just don't feel normal. And so that's kind of where I am now, because I'm done breastfeeding and I'm just trying to get hormones in check. And like, even when your hormones are squampus, it's like, good luck losing weight how you want to. But this week has been wonderful because I have just gotten into a really good rhythm of going to the gym. I've refixed my workout schedule to things that are more attainable for me, but I feel like I am working really well. And one of the best, I don't know if this is the best advice, but on the days you absolutely don't want to go to the gym, I've heard this before in the past, I'm not making this up, just go and walk on the treadmill. Like, that's it. You're getting your steps in, and you can listen to music, you can scroll TikTok, you can watch a movie. I think it's like the best hack ever, and it sounds so stupid, because it's like, well, I still have to get out and go to the gym. Okay, well, do my life hacks first. Pick your clothes the night before. Get anything you need right by the door. Make it as easy as possible for you, even if you are super exhausted and you're like, I don't want to wake up and go to the gym. And something I always put in my brain as well when I'm feeling like that, and I'm like, oh, heck no, I don't want to wake up tomorrow morning, is, all right, well, you haven't slept yet. So get your sleep. And then when your alarm goes off, then you can make your final decision. But don't weigh on that too much either, because you'll be like, heck no, turn off the alarm. No, obviously, when the alarm goes off, which, as I've mentioned 5,000 times before, get a sunrise alarm clock. You never actually have to hit the alarm because you're awake before it even goes off, in theory. Anyway, 10 out of 10, recommend them. I don't have the Hatch. I have a Philips sunrise lamp. That's what it's called. I tagged it in my links, I'm pretty sure. But 10 out of 10, just walking, life-changing. And so I do throw in my weightlifting every other, or depending on wherever I am in my cycle. But usually with walking, when that period comes around, or luteal phase, when that hits hard, because sometimes it hits hard, walking, 10 out of 10. My other favorite thing that I've done recently is I moved, because I do have a walking pad at home, but I haven't used it a ton because it's in a spot in my house that I'm not really a fan of. And so I moved it to a different spot, and I'm really excited about it. So, however, this week has been absolutely crazy, so I haven't even really been able to use it yet in the new spot of my house. But it's now in front of a bigger TV, so we're very excited for when that does happen, or during the winter months if it's like super snowy or whatever. So we're going to keep up the good vibes and the good workout routine and physical goals that we've been vibing and thriving with, because it's been a good time. But whole point of the gym though, I would recommend, if you still are not a morning person, even though I've tried to convince anyone that's listened to all my podcasts over and over again to become a gym morning person, here's some other great reasons for you. There's no one on the roads early in the morning. I look back to when I worked out in the afternoon. Half of my fury of going to the gym in the afternoon was that I would have to deal with really bad after work traffic going to the gym. I would have to deal with road rage, whether me or other drivers. I would have to deal with finding a parking spot. I would have to deal with my car being a toaster oven. Not toaster oven. Was something really hot? Hot tub? No. A sauna. There we go. A sauna when I got out of the gym, when I was already hot and sweaty, because my car is like black leather interior. Anyway, it's not fun. But yeah, those are all like the worst reasons to go in the afternoon. But the best things in the morning, no one's on the roads. The temperature can be regulated. Like obviously if it's going to be cold, wear more layers, put a blanket in your car. But temperature is way more regulated. So when it's really, really hot in the summer, it's not as hot getting into your car because the sun's not even touching it yet. I'm trying to think of anything else. No parking issues when you get to the gym. It's beautiful. You can leave the house easily, or your apartment, wherever you're living, without any distractions. Because that was another thing for me. When I went in the afternoon, I would want to talk to my husband as he was getting home from work and be like, hey, how was your day? Blah, 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 blah. But then I wouldn't leave on time and then everything would get delayed, or I'd have to like rush through my workout or whatever. So have I not convinced you yet? It changes everything. And if you're a mom, you can go while your kids, if you can, switching off with your husband, whatever, while your kids are sleeping. And that way, if you have like young kids, babies, toddlers, that you don't have to stress out about, oh my gosh, hopefully they're not screaming and harassing their father. I don't know. I worry about that stuff because I just don't like to stress him out too much. He's enough stressed at work and stuff like that. So anyway, it's 50-50 in our relationship. Love him to death. But yeah, 10 out of 10. Love gym in the morning. Also in the afternoons, like if you have energy in the afternoon after a long day, I don't like pre-workout. I don't take it. It doesn't work for me. I understand that people do that, but for me, it don't work. So that is my gym rant for the day. I hope that I will be able to see the improvement in the future because your girl's trying to look like Tate McRae. If you saw her VMA performance of her like cat litter box thing with all of her backup dancers, like one, she's hot AF. Her body is incredible. I want what she's having. I'm always very curious with these like celebrities, if they are on Ozempics and whatever. I'm sure they're like microdosing it or something. I don't know, but they all look fantastic. And even like Sabrina Carpenter, I remember when I love her to death. She had the tiniest little, very natural human belly covering her organs, and she got skinnier when she was on her Short and Sweet tour, which obviously she was performing for hours, multiple nights in a row. Like, that's gonna happen. She's working out a ton. So, nothing on her for that. I like her always. Whatever body type she is, love her. That's it. Anyway, but yeah. But Sabrina Carpenter's VMA performance, incredible. I said it last podcast, her ability and performance for music videos, live and filmed, aka her VMA performance for Taste, was incredible. She, the ultimate Britney Spears reincarnated. Like, she did incredible. There was this whole water coming down part, and her hair got wet, and like she's flipping around. Like, she's so talented, so hot, and the absolute difference and maturity, growth, projection that she is just painted in all of her endeavors is so incredibly impressive, and she's so talented. So 10 out of 10, love her to death. I hope she stops in Salt Lake City for her next, I don't know if she's touring this album. I would assume so. But I hope she does. I would love to see her again. She was my husband and mine's first concert, and absolutely loved her concert. I think I'd never been to a concert before. It was the best concert of my life. So 10 out of 10, super excited. Hopefully she tours in Salt Lake again. I hope she's getting so big. I feel like she's going to skip Salt Lake because of that. But we're big fans. She's claimed to love it. So the other thing is with the VMAs, I remember actually hearing from my husband because he was doing some reports on the results of the VMAs to me. And he was saying that Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters did not win its category, and that it went to Love Tate McRae still. But it was the song that she did for F1. And that was so surprising to me because K-Pop Demon Hunters continues to be one of the most world-renowned movies and soundtracks. So the fact that Golden didn't win, super weird to me, because I heard Golden 5 million billion times more than the F1 song that Tate McRae did. However, I would say that probably one of the reasons for that was because the F1 song was probably on the radio a lot more than Golden was, because it's not exactly a radio song. I know certain people have been hearing it on their radio stations, but I wouldn't say worldwide. That's probably why that happened. So definitely a bummer. Obviously, I'm not familiar with the VMA voting process, how it works, or if they're just taking stats. Like, if that's the case, that's probably what it is. But overall, kind of sad. But you know what else is sad? Hailey that does something stupid. So Hailey did something very, very stupid this week. Actually, it happens pretty frequently, I would say. But after I'd gotten home from the gym earlier this week, I had received a present from my mom because she loves thrifting. Love her to death. She had gotten these cute Halloween decorations that light up, had little lights in them. And I was looking for a place to place them in my home. And I haven't actually fully decorated yet because I know we're still in September. But I was looking around at where I wanted to stick them. However, they needed an outlet to be able to use them successfully. So I wanted to put them above my fireplace. However, the problem is there isn't an outlet up there. So I would need to use an extension cord to get energy. And so I was trying to figure it out. But the problem is that where the outlet I would be having it go is in a area that my toddler could access very easily. And I'm not super crazy about that. So I was like, okay, let me get one of those flat, flush to the wall, hidden extension cords things. Okay, so I go to order one, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to know how long I need to have it. And so this is where the stupid part comes in. I had a different extension cord I was using because I was kind of using it to measure how long I needed to have this outlet thing go. And with kind of pushing it and having it fold and be against the wall in the way that I wanted it to be. And so I figured out what that length is, and I pull it straight out so I can grab a measuring tape and have it measure the length of the extension cord. So your girl was stupid, and she's holding the extension cord that's still plugged into the wall, and she rolls out the measuring tape and pushes it out, and it's in midair, hovering right over the top and horizontally right above the extension cord that's plugged into the wall. And she pulls it out, and then, because it's just hovering in the wall, it starts to fall down because it's kind of heavy, right? Not really. It's just a length over time thing. Yeah. Anyway, it has a little metal bit at the very edge of the measuring tape, and it falls down and somehow touches close enough to the top of the plastic where the prongs go into the wall, and it goes, and it sparks and does this big black splatty thing on my wall. And yeah, I was very, very concerned I was going to blow up my house or something in that moment. Thankfully, that did not happen. And I was even more concerned as soon as I started to Google, oh my gosh, I think I just blew up my outlet, because then all these videos popped up for how to take out the whole thing safely and replace it and do a bunch of like low-key electrical engineer work. And this all happened at 6 a.m. in the morning while my husband was at the gym and I'm at home blowing up my house. And yeah, so I'm having a little bit of an anxiety issue. And so I'm like Googling it and using ChatGPT / TikTok / whatever I can find YouTube resources. And they're all just like showing me videos on how to replace the whole thing. And I'm like, I don't want to replace the whole thing. I just want it to like not be broken. So then I'm just like, okay, so thankfully I'm plugging in ChatGPT and saying all the details. So ChatGPT is great. It's like, all right, go flick off the breaker for the outlet. Okay, so I go downstairs where our breaker thing is, and it has like the descriptions for each room, but it doesn't have it for this one. I'm like, so I'm doing a lot of guess and check work here. And so that was annoying for a couple minutes because I'm like, flip this breaker. And I ran upstairs. I'm like, is it that one? Because like the light would go off on like the same area. So that was fun. And so then fast forward, I eventually find the right one so that I flip it off. And I'm like, so I just like kind of sit there and for 10 minutes, just kind of like emotionally unwell, not sure what to do other than just to sit there and be like, I hope it's healing itself. No. And so then then I'm Googling it and it's just saying like, okay, go feel the outlet. If it's super hot, then that's very concerning. Thankfully, it was cool to the touch. And I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. So then I'm just following the steps and it says I can turn the breaker back on. And then it says to plug in either like a lamp, something low device, energy sucking or whatever, to test it. So I found an item that's kind of broken but shows when it's charging, and I go plug it in to a plug that works, not the one that I blew up, and a different one in a different room, and it shows that it's charging. I'm like, okay, so I plug it into the broken outlet and it shows it's charging on both sockets, so things are looking good. Oh, and the best thing that I forgot to mention was that I did not initially flip the breaker. So I think that's probably like the worst sign, because that it shows like you tripped the breaker, like it was big enough that it did something. Thankfully, that did not happen. I don't know. Electrical engineers, hop in the chat. Let me know if that's worse. I don't know. Things seem to be okay so far. This happened a couple days ago. So thankfully, things look to be well-ish. But the problem is I have this big like black streak on my wall and like charred on the outlet. So I'm like, okay, this is in like the main part of my family room, living room, and I need to clean this. This is very obvious. And the other social, like emotional dilemma that I had was whether or not I wanted to tell my husband, because I screw up things like this probably once a quarter or so. And this one was really awkward and embarrassing and really stupid. And I'm like, if I can get out of this without telling him, that would be great. Keep in mind, I don't actually hide things from my husband ever. This would be like the first time. And so I'm like, yeah, let me fix it. Maybe I don't have to tell him about it. Or if I fix it and things are successful and I decide to tell him about it, then I could be like, but it's cool. I fixed it. We're good. So that's what I was thinking as well. So then it's just like, okay, turn off the breaker so you can clean it. And so I'm like scrubbing away on the wall. Thankfully, it came up pretty right. There's a little bit of charred like area on one of the outlets still to this day, to this moment. And so anyway, I get things working. I flip the breaker back on, and then I'm just like kind of a little emotionally unwell, depressed, because I'm very embarrassed that I caused this. So I just sit on the couch underneath the blanket and I'm like really sad. And so my husband comes home and he's like, hey, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And so I'm like just sitting kind of like scrolling on my phone. This is at 7 a.m. now. And so then my husband's getting ready for work and stuff. My kid's still sleeping. And he comes back out after he got ready for work and he's like, you sure you're okay? Because usually I hang out with him and talk to him. And I was like, I have to admit, I have sinned. And so Then I proceed to tell him. And halfway through the story, because I'm mentioning the outlet, he looks over, he's like, okay. And he's like, I mean, I can see what happened because there's a little bit of charring on it. And I'm like, yeah. So that was my lovely outlet story. Such a mundane thing. It was very emotional in the moment because when you're just hanging on for dear life raising a toddler and something goes wrong in an area of time of your day that usually is filled with quietness and bliss, it's very unsettling. So that happened, but we learned our lesson, and we will not be sticking any forks in any outlets around here or measuring tapes. And yeah, just be wary and don't be an idiot like me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. And the worst part is I could have just very much unplugged the outlet or the cord from the outlet and then measured it. Why I didn't do that, I don't know. It was early. How exciting. Oh, we got the announcement that Frankie Paul is the bachelorette. I have many thoughts about this. Do I doubt that she will have a very entertaining season? Absolutely not. I dare say it will be the most entertaining that this franchise has ever seen. She speaks her mind. She doesn't do the crap. She is aggressive. She's not going to be some pretty in pink trying to be so graceful. Like, everyone knows her crap. She's going to be very entertaining. I'm going to be very interested to see if the Bachelor, like, producers try to push on a narrative onto her of being like, you have to be super posh and poised and whatever. Like, she's definitely mentioned that she's watched the Bachelor and that her and her friends are like acting out and practicing some things. Like that's cool. I'm curious if they will encourage her to follow the normalcy of how things are done or if they will give her free reign. That is some of the things that's very intriguing to me. Okay. On the other side and other note of the concept of her becoming the Bachelorette, I know that she's made for reality TV. I know that this is something that she's just very much wanted to do, be a part of. Like, obviously before her whole swinging scandal, like, she was making TikTok videos. She was grinding and creating mom talk. Like, that's her whole vibe and thing, which is very fitting. I think it's very messy, obviously, and that's something that she's chosen, so I wouldn't choose it for myself. I'm not necessarily judging her for it. If it was me, I would definitely consider taking a step back. And I know she's said that she's gone to therapy and she has a therapist, whatever, and really figure things out and take a good old year off of the internet. I know she can't do that because she has the Mom Talk show, or Secret Lives, Mormon Wives. But the funny thing is our toddlers are about the same age. I'm pretty sure we gave birth the same month. Her boy, Ever, I think that's Ever True. I think it's Ever. But our kids are the same age. And our kids are both roughly 18 months. And obviously she's had 2 kids before with her first husband. And now she has a second with a baby daddy with Dakota. And I think it's just crazy. Like, I know that every parent feels probably different with their own journey with kids and whether they want to work or they're stay at home, whatever. Like, everybody's journey is different. I just can't imagine not being here for my kid and being away from him for weeks and weeks to go on The Bachelorette. That's wild to me. And it's all about the reality TV aspect. Like, I'm sure she wouldn't mind finding love and whatever, but like any guy applying, like, yeah, I'm sure there's some genuine ones, and if they make it onto the show, that's great. But it's like the amount of clout chasers. I mean, she went on the Call Her Daddy podcast and she was saying that because Alex Cooper had asked her if one of the guys didn't want to be a part of her videos for TikTok and stuff, she'd be like, no, like, she didn't straight up say, like, oh, heck no, but it was important to her that he would be on board. And so it's just like, the amount of clout chasers that are going to be going on this show and playing mind games, and, like, I get she's pretty good at seeing through the BS, but obviously not good enough, because she obviously did not see through the Dakota lies. And, like, I'm not saying she needed to be an excellent mind reader, but it's so messy and just not emotionally great. And to each their own. Like, obviously it works for her, and that's great. I wouldn't choose that for myself. I think as a watcher and viewer of Bachelor TV, it's going to be a very entertaining season, but obviously it's not my thing for me personally, and I only wish her the best. And obviously I hope she does find love. I think everyone deserves to find their soulmate. And so if that comes from the Bachelorette, then that's how it will be. And I think the Mom Talk Secret Lives Mormon Wives show will be all the juicier for it too. So that is the update on Mom Talk Secret Lives Mormon Wives, Taylor Frankie Paul. All right, so I paused for a second because I knew I was going to get into the next topic, which I'm sure anyone can guess. Obviously, if you're listening in the future, this is the day that what I'll be discussing is the day before 9/11. So I don't care who you think is the best political party, whatnot, but murder, killing, cold blood is just not the way about it. The world lost a very impactful and life-changing individual. I happen to I wouldn't say meet, but see Charlie when he was 25, and he was tabling in the Hall of Flags at UVU. This was years ago. And I remember seeing his table, and a lot of people gathered around watching him. And I think I very, 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 very vaguely knew who he was, but I didn't really put it together that he was like well-known, famous, popular, until I saw the intensity. And when I say intensity, I don't mean like aggressive, but how well-spoken he was, and direct and professional. And I just remember being so captivated by watching him even speak. And I could barely hear what he was saying. There was a group of people standing in front of me, but I could kind of see between the heads of him talking to a student who was sitting across from him with his signage changed my mind. And I was just trying to figure it out, but he was so just poised and impressive. Fast forward to later that day, because I just had classes on Utah Valley University's campus. I happened to stay with some friends because we had heard that there was just going to be this event, this turning point event that I'd never heard of, but people were really excited about. And I happened to stay with some friends, and we were just kind of sitting in these really comfy couch chairs right outside where this event hall was. And we watched as hundreds of students, after hours of college, where this campus would usually be dead, just filled and getting in line for this event. And we were just kind of chilling in the chairs because we were wanting to check it out, but we weren't even sure if we were going to go in. But then we did. And the amount of professionalism, maturity, just pure logic that followed, that I was so happy to be a part of and witness. And obviously, in the moment, I had never, ever had any sort of formed political opinion whatsoever. But all I know is in that moment, my eyes were opened for why it mattered and why I should care. And it actually made me, I guess, feel something for even my own life, right? That it wasn't just about going through the motions and just what I should be doing in life, going to college, whatever, and how the world around me is impacted by even my own thoughts, even if I think they're small or don't impact anything. I was so happy, and I am still very happy to be have been a part of that. And that won't change. Unfortunately, tragically, Charlie's life and his family's life will forever be changed. And I don't have too much more to say other than I hope his family can feel at peace with the news that the killer has been caught. And I know that he is resting in peace now. And I hope that his family can one day feel peace again. I did want to mention it because no matter how you feel politically is irrelevant. I think the world needs to change in regards to acting out in violence rather than words, logic, anything remotely not murderous. Honestly, I don't have too much more to say. I'm usually not at a loss for words here, but I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So the most beautiful thing, though, that I have seen through this tragedy is the sense of community. I was out on a walk with my toddler and my dogs, and we just happened to pass this house where a grandpa was sitting out on the steps, and he sparked a conversation just because it was the next day after the tragedy, and he started, of course, just saying like, "Oh, hey, I like your dogs," and he's like, "Thank you," and I said, "Thank you," and so we just got talking, and he, as the grown man he said, because it got to a point in the conversation that he had asked me about school and like where I went to college, and I said Utah Valley University, and he's just like, I can't believe that happened. And I'm like, me neither. And we both got teary. And this is a stranger I don't even know. And he just said, I really don't want to talk about it. I'm like, I understand. I don't either. He's just said, I just can't believe this happened just 20 minutes away from us. One of the reasons why my husband and I even choose to live in Utah is because things like that doesn't happen here. They do usually, if anything happens, it's been related to gang violence or whatever, and that's usually in Salt Lake City, but Utah County, it's just, that doesn't happen here. And it's gonna be a very long time before we can't just think about that daily. So I wish I could say more to help ease the burden, but that's not my place for one. I'm not equipped for it either. But all I will say is if you're feeling this way and you are listening, just know you're not alone. I remember feeling and I still do, just your body's frozen in a way, because yeah, if you weren't there, or if you didn't see, or if you're not in proximity to the location, like that's okay. You can still grieve, and it can still feel emotionally very heavy, and just hoping and being able to work through it just one day at a time. And so I'm gonna stop trying to be a therapist now, but I love everyone. I feel like right now it's really important to not create further conflict. That's not the solution and never will be. And being able to come together as peacefully as possible will be the best solution. So I know I tried to end this already, but I'm gonna end it now. So I love you. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. And we'll be back. Have a great rest of your day and week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.